Radhe Radhe Swamiji.
Radhe Radhe.
My question is related to the Gita study session that we have by J.K. Yog. I wanted to know what should be our frame of mind or attitude while studying the Bhagavad Gita, and if questions arise, what kind of questions should we be asking? And is there prerequisite to before we begin to study this great scripture?
The prerequisite is the attitude we harbor within ourselves. That is the sense of reverence, the sense of faith, and the sense of surrender. Right? So Lord Krishna has expressed it himself. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanyas tattvadarshinaha. So he says that Arjun, you approach a tattvadarshi, a seer, and these 3 points he mentions. That pranipat, offer your respectful obeisance, inquire submissively with the desire to know, and sevaya, serve. Then that seer will be able to impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So what would be the best sentiment with which to approach the Bhagavad Gita? I would say this kind of bhav, that this knowledge is delivered directly by the Lord. And his intention behind his every word was compassion. Arjun was the object of that compassion, but through him, Lord Krishna was bestowing the compassion on all the souls. So when our intellect is convinced that these are the words of God, and every word is spoken to grace the souls, then we will find we are getting far more out of it. And we should always have the spirit of the thirst for knowledge. The biggest impediment to more knowledge is the pride that I already know. So we must do away with this. We must think that I do not know and I wish to know. So that quest for knowledge and the awareness of our own defects. I am here today at such a low level, and that is where I need to go. This gap between where I am and where I need to go is so huge, and it is intolerable to me. I need to perfect my life. That yearning will then make us approach the knowledge with great sincerity and with the desire to get out of it gems that we can implement to be able to become the way Lord Krishna wants us to become. So these are a few tips on receiving this knowledge.
Is, in your book, Spiritual Dialectics, in backside you have wrote that pranic force, how our daily activities affects our pranic force. And you mentioned there that that is the main reason we feel, stress, and we feel loss of energy time to time while doing our daily activity. I'm a young manager at 27. You are more than 50, I think 60, but you work. I have been listening that you work more than 14 to 16 hours. How to maintain that energy? How should we engineering our day-to-day activity so that we can maximize our pranic force and do the best service for the world at large, and at large in the God, being an instrument of God?
It is all a growth process. So when we find that somebody is ahead, that becomes an inspiration for us, that I can also become like that. I have to keep working on myself. But it's an incremental growth. So nobody jumps from here to there in one day. It's not a unit step function. It is a step-by-step growth. We should never feel discouraged. We should always think, how can I take the next step, and then again take the next step. So to answer your question, the energy that comes in our works comes from inspiration, from motivation. If we can inspire and motivate ourselves, we will find that we have so much more energy than we previously thought. So always keep yourself in a state of high inspiration. And the second point, freedom from stress, that comes through detachment. When we can detach ourselves from the fruits of our actions. In other words, this is all for the pleasure of God, whether it's to my liking, not to my liking, I will focus on efforts. And now your focus is on efforts, not on results. Then all the tension disappears. In other words, people are so harassed by stress. And the solution is so simple. Instead of all the harassment of stress is because of attachment to results. Now, if you can cut that out and just focus on your efforts, you will find the whole stress will disappear. Now, these are all mindsets, the way you should think. In other words, this is all aspects of mind management. So I have written this book, 7 Mindsets for Success, Happiness and Fulfillment. This had got released in the month of October. It's possible you have read it. If you have not, I would recommend that you will benefit from it. Because what I have done in that book is given applied spirituality. Spiritual dialectics is pure spirituality. And then application of those principles in real life. That is in this book.